Man, you can't just sneak up on me like that, dude. Shoot. Welcome to chess, ladies and gentlemen. Appreciate you guys stopping by very much. So I have the round 8 game between Wesley and Maxime Vachier-Lagrave. And it is coming from the 2021 Superbet Chess Classic in Romania. It's part of the Grand Chess Tour. And so, we have, quite a few rounds left. So we're going to see what's cracking. But I have this nice little game here for you. Now, for my guy who requested it, I did adjust the board slightly. But there is only so far I can really go with that because I have to make sure captions show and they don't block the board. So hopefully this makes it a little bit better. It's slightly bigger than it was before. So hopefully it makes a little bit of a difference. But for all of my people in the Philippines, magandang umaga, kumusta na, mabuhay, ingat lagi, masaya akong mukiri kang muli, maraming salamat po sa nanonood ng aking ma video and aking ma channel. Appreciate you guys very much. I'm Masao Tayo. It's really late there. I'm getting a really late start today. It's already like 5 something in the morning, so I'm not catching everybody before they get up. So I apologize. I had a crazy day today. And then for anybody who is coming from France, bonjour, comment ça va, comment allez-vous? Ça me fait plaisir de te voir, mes amis. Appreciate you guys very much. Ma meilleure pour toi. Appreciate you guys very much for stopping by and taking a look at my stuff. If you guys are ready to go, let's take a look and see what we have in the game. Bam! So we got knight to f3. Knight comes to f6. So we start off with like a ready, and then we kind of have like a copycat situation going on for black. c4, c5, so we're maintaining a copycat. Knight comes to c3, so we do have the English opening symmetrical 3-knight system. And then so now Maxime Vachier-Lagrave says, hey man, we'll break the symmetry. So I got d5 on the board. Pawn takes d5, knight takes d5, and then we have e4. Now, you're going to want to bounce the knight around a little bit because it's not like really crazy bad. But after we do see e4, we do see knight to b4. Like I said, you want to kind of bounce the knight around. You can kind of put it wherever, but something that you probably don't really too much want to go into is knight takes c3. It gives white just a really huge clump of pawns in the center of the board. And it just, that's one of those trades I'm talking about. What is black giving white if they trade on c3? Yeah, as you guys can see, you guys have a bunch, not that one. You guys have a bunch of pawns in the center of the board. So you have a pretty nice little advantage there. But after e4, we do see knight coming to b4. We got bishop to c4. So, white's just getting their development rolling. We see knight coming to d3 with check. So that is kind of like a little bit of an issue. So we're going to have to either move the king over or bring the king up to e2, which is what happens. And this is a double attack on the knight. So, you have to reply in a certain way. So knight comes to f4. We see king down to f1. Knight comes up to e6. And then we have h4. So h4 is like, it's a kind of a computer move. Or, it's kind of a human move. It's, kind of a way for you to kind of like, bring your rook up or, kind of throw a little bit of an attack going. But it's already been kind of crazy at this point, and it just gets crazier. So, these days we're just playing this 2021 chess. So if you want the, nice and clean fundamental game, this ain't the one for you as well. But even crazier than that, after knight comes to e6, the computer really wants you to play b4. You're like, wait a minute. Why am I just throwing my pawn out there? It just looks kind of random. Pawn takes b4, and then it wants you to go back knight to e2. So this is literally why we're not computers. Because, it's just, how many people are going to think to just push b4? I know I didn't. I was like, are you sick, computer? Like, what's going on? So anyway, we did see h4. We got knight down to d4, putting it in a nice central square. We got knight to b5. And then we see knight d to c6. And this is actually the novelty of the game. If we go back one move, after knight came to b5, we actually saw a game between Linier Dominguez Perez versus Maxime Vachier-Lagrave from 2018, where MVL did go bishop to e6. So Maxime has seen this position before. He's somewhat familiar with it. As crazy as it looks, he has seen this before. So, I haven't seen it. So, I'm new to this one. So, like I said, we did see knight d to c6 being the novelty. We saw d4. And then we have reached a point in the game that if you do want to pause the video and guess black's only move in this position, there is only one move that black can play to basically continue the game the way it's going. All literally other moves completely just like lose on the spot. Like, it's crazy because you're looking at it like, is it that critical of a position? Yes, it is. Go ahead and try to guess the move real quick. Okay, so before I get into the move, this is the problem that you have. This bishop is going to come to f4. There's nothing stopping it. And if it does get the chance to get to b4 or get to f4, this knight is coming in here to c7, and it's gonna be pretty nasty. You're gonna be having to move the king over here. You know, you have to prevent that move. So the only move that prevents it is a6, because now you're asking a really serious question to the knight, and you don't have the time to develop your bishop to f4. And so you know, you're doing the right thing by pushing a6, getting that knight up out of there. So we do see d5. So Wesley So decides to throw a little counterattack of his own, which ends up working out. Usually in this type of a situation, you're going to be losing two pieces. But because of what I'll explain coming up here in a second, it is not the loss of 2 pieces. So we see pawn takes b5. And, you know, like I said, generally when you do a counterattack, you're prepared to take with the pawn, you know, but in this particular situation, no. You see bishop taking b5, and now this makes sense because this knight here is in what we like to call an absolute pin. Now, as you guys are familiar and you guys have experience when you're playing chess games, there's pins. There's different types of pins. There's actually 4 different types of pins. So we have absolute pin, relative pin, partial pin, and situational pin. And if you are curious as to exactly which ones, you know, what types of pins there are, go ahead and just look them up. Wikipedia has a description for all of the different pins that I just mentioned. But the absolute pin in this case is when you have a piece that is pinned to the king and it cannot move at all. It is completely stuck and immobilized on that square because it's illegal to move that piece. And that is where this knight is. That's why it looks sad. Can you tell it's sad? Not really. I mean, I'm just playing. So we do see e6. We got queen to e2. Now, you know, of course, you don't want to capture here because you're going to be looking at that. And then the horse is going to be like doubly sad. Like, you don't want the horse to be sad times 2. So we got bishop to e7. Now we see pawn takes c6, which, I mean, that makes the... I don't know what that makes the horse now. I mean, the knight. I mean, like, the pawn just took it. So, I mean, it's super depressed now. So we got knight taking c6. We got rook to h3. Like I said, the game is crazy. Like, you literally never in history see, like, positions like this. We are doing a rook lift on the only side. Well, you can't castle now, but the only side it kind of makes sense for you to try to, you know, hide out. You know, you can't do that now. You got castles, and you have rook to d3. And I mean, it's pretty clear. You know, white is going to play, you know, white is trying to, on a good day, as Yasser Seron would say, go bishop to h6. And then capture here or capture with the bishop and then checkmate the king, nice and pretty. But bishop takes h4 is asking a question to this rook. We got knight takes h4, queen takes h4, and then we see rook to h3. Queen comes back to f6, making sure that we try to, you know, do some type of defense. We got queen to h5 because why not threaten checkmate? You guys heard me before talk about threatening checkmate. You know, why not threaten checkmate? Just threaten checkmate. I mean, as much as you can, threaten checkmate, and then, you know, the opponent has to respond, and then you live happily ever after. No, I'm playing. We got h6. We got rook back to g3. So now bishop taking h6 is very live. So we have to do something about that. We got king down to h7. So we have nullified that threat. We got bishop takes c6, pawn takes c6. We have king to g1. So it's interesting. This king has moved like 5 times. And we're not even in the end game. So it's not really, it's kind of dangerous to do so in this particular position, in these positions that we've been seeing. But we got rook over to a4. We have pawn to e5. We have queen to h4. Now, I mean, we're pretty much forcing, you know, the trade. So the queen takes on h4. We got rook takes h4. And we got rook to c3. We got rook over to e4. Rook takes c5. Rook to e1 with check. King comes to h2. We see rook to d8. And then we see, like, actually a pretty cute move by Wesley So here. We see bishop to g5. Now, what this is doing is you're allowing this bishop to be captured, but at the expense of a rook. So you're going to want to take this rook here, and then this rook can get taken, and now everything is all happy and even. So that's a very interesting move to have played, I think. Rook takes A1, bishop takes D8. So everything's fairly equal. So you got rook takes A2, rook takes C6, attacking the bishop on C8. You got bishop to B7, rook to C7, bishop down to D5, rook takes F7, rook takes B2, and then you have bishop to F6, which would be actually very killer if you didn't have the saving move rook to B7. So that kind of makes it a little different. In any other situation, this would have been a really killer move, bishop F6. It would have been, taking another pawn, and you might would have had a little celebration going on. So now the rook has to take on B7 because if you move the rook off of that, rank, you're going to be losing your bishop, so we can't do that. So you got bishop taking B7, bishop back to D8, and then we are going to start to have the dance of the bishops. And as you guys do see, we have 3 pawns to 3, and we do have opposite color bishops. So I think you guys know what that means. Bishop comes down to D5. We have bishop to C7, bishop to B7, bishop to D8, bishop to D5, bishop to C7, bishop to B7, and then we have bishop to D8. And we do have a draw by threefold repetition on top of the fact that opposite color bishops are almost always drawn in endgames. So yes, it was a draw. But I think what made it kind of interesting in that little portion was if Maxime Vachier-Lagrave did not find A6, he would have been in a world of trouble, which would have been good for Wesley Soul fans. I mean, yeah. But anyway, for all of my people in the Philippines, I think I'm doing a little bit better with these good mornings. So let me see how good I can spit these off. All right, so maayong buntag, mayad na agahan, naibag na bigat, masentos ya kabason, marhe na aga, buenos dias. Maayong aga, mapia na uma, kapian kapuno dios, mayap a abak, mayad na aga, mapia agay, mapia kapapita, my big abukla. So I got a lot farther than I had before. Like I was able to pretty much spit all those out. But we have Maraja na buntag, Maria Mainat, Malpe na aga, and then Kasanyangan si LUB. And then, of course, salam and assalamu alaikum. So I think I pretty much have everything hooked up. So I appreciate everybody coming by. Merci beaucoup, mes amis. And I will see y'all next time.